Right, exactly.
Yeah, so
exactly.
the
There you go.
So you're
That's
still
true.
pregnant?
Yeah. Oh, okay. like, no, please. No. Yeah.
Accra be hard, so stress for the yard, but we still go day streets before find some meats.
Stay by plan, stay by plan. All the girls, all the boys, for stay by plan. Stay by plan, Accra, stay by plan. All the boys, all the girls, for stay by plan. Stay by plan, stay by plan. All the boys, all the girls, for stay by plan. Just a stay by plan with a fee and zoo. All the G's for Accra, shall we did for you? If you also want react, then that be cool. Hashtag stay by plan, shall we did for you?
Hi guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Stay by Plan. If you are listening to this, make sure after you watch, because I have a new look and is it giving?
It's alright. You can do better, but
Are you serious? This is my first time wearing colored hair. Like my mom hates colored hair.
yeah.
Like she can't stand it. She's like, your hair is black. It's not blonde. Like, what kind of wig is this? Anyway, I'm wearing a grey wig, so you should watch it on YouTube and see.
Yeah, you look like an old white lady, but it's okay. We still love you like that.
You are rude. I just knew I come to say something like silly.
I had to do it for the people. But yeah,
My phone.
if you put your phone on silent.
I'm sorry, please.
But yeah, welcome back to Stay by Plan. As you know, before we start, I like my new thing is to read 5-star reviews from you guys on Apple Podcasts. So I'm going to read this one from Elvis Best, and he said, "Dope vibes. I rarely write reviews, but this podcast is really dope. Doesn't matter what they're talking about, but it's interesting to listen, especially because of Afi and Zoo's vibes.
Aww.
Their banter, the way they interact, and their guests are just dope, Charlie. Afi and Zoo are always on each other's case. It's just funny. Keep it up, guys.
Aww.
Thank you very much."
Thank you
And
so
we'll do
much.
that. So yeah, let's get into the conversation today.
Wait, before that, there was a tweet as well where
Yeah.
someone was like, the best podcast is like the two of us. And they've just like seen us like do so. I don't know if you saw it. You commented and I commented.
If you brought it up, you have to say the person's at.
Oh, I'll at you after. I'll check in at you.
Oh
but
my
like,
God.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. You know yourself. I'll check it.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting right into it.
Today.
We have a very special guest.
Like, the special is an understatement. I know I'm always saying special, but this time it's like really special. This is like the definition of what resilience, power, strength. I don't know. I'm just so happy that you can
I think
make
you can
it.
add a few more.
I can add.
Yeah, keep
I
going.
love it.
Athletic.
Energy,
Yeah.
athletic.
Yeah.
Headstrong in a positive way. Like she knew what she wanted to do,
And
she did it.
Yeah.
Yvette, congratulations. That's all I have to say that first. Like, congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing what some people say they will do and they don't.
Right. Yeah. There's so many reasons why I did the swim and the expedition. But I think I'm just the kind of person who's just like, okay, if I've said I've done it, then I have to do it.
Period.
It's just like not complicated to me. But
Yeah.
like if I could do it, I gotta do it. That's it.
So yeah, for some of the people who are listening who don't know
Yeah.
what we're talking about, please tell us
Who
why
you
you
are,
are swimming
what
like
did
a fish. Like, what's going on? Like, swimming for hours. Like,
Swimming for
please,
Africa.
Tell us what's going on. What happened and you decided to swim for so long?
Well, I just finished swimming 450 kilometers of the Volta River as part of a larger expedition and research project called the Gbechi Living Water Expedition. And for me, I just, at the heart of it, it's just like, I just really love swimming. Like, it's really like, it's like, that is the most basic response. And I really love swimming in the Volta River specifically. It just was always a thing that I've been doing for the last few years and like enjoyed it. So I've always been curious about the rest of the river because I would go to where my godparents live in an area called Vume on the Volta River. And like, I know that area super well from swimming it. And I was like, there's more. There's so much more to see. So yeah, I was like, okay, I want to explore the rest of the Volta River in this specific way. And I'm on the board of the Ore Foundation, and the Ore Foundation, one of their main things is to look at the influx of secondhand clothing from the global north to Ghana, and just the impact that it's having in communities, and the way a lot of it becomes waste in places like, and pollutes the Kole Lagoon and a lot of land and a lot of water. And so they were doing research around that and decided to expand it to one of our most important water bodies in Ghana. So there's the larger research and policy goals of the expedition, and then there's just this is an adventure element of the swim.
So, with regards to the pollution, with the microfibers, right?
Yes, exactly. Thank you for remembering.
That's right. That's right.
This was done his homework.
How does it because how I understand it is obviously the people in the West ship old clothes, used clothes to Ghana.
Yeah.
How are microfibers getting from, usually they're in Accra, how are they getting from Accra into the Volta River?
Yeah, so the first thing I'd like to say is that I think what's so interesting is that there's this huge global trade of secondhand clothing, but to most of us, it's invisible. I didn't know about it until I started doing this work with the Ore Foundation. And I grew up partly in the UK, and you go to put your clothes in the charity box, and I think most people think that those clothes actually stay in America, stay in the UK, and you're like, oh, this poor person in the UK is getting my t-shirt. And then actually it's being sold to somebody who buys it, and then it gets shipped here. And then a lot of the clothes actually are upcycled and recycled and sold in Kantamanto. A lot of people going, a lot of really stylish people get their clothes in Kantamanto, but Kantamanto can only process a portion of that. And then a lot of it goes directly to the landfills. But the reason we were is there microfiber pollution in the rest of the Volta River and other places, is that, clothes that are sold in Kantamanto don't just stay in Accra. You go to other parts of the country and you see people wearing Zara t-shirts. Where did that come from? There's no Zara outlet here, And so it's okay, there's this interesting trade that's from the global north to Ghana, then from Ghana in Accra, then the clothes get taken to different parts of the country and sold there, and then people wear them and people move around. So one of the places that we stopped by on the expedition is a place called Tapo Abotuasi, and they have a clothes market, and the clothes in that market come from Kantamanto, and the clothes from that, so there's this whole thing. And then for us, what we're interested in is this kind of circular movement. So it's starts in Kantamanto, moves to different markets around the country. And then, for example, fishermen or people are wearing those clothes, maybe discarding them near the river, and then it kind of comes back down. And as the clothes wear down, they become microfibers.
So then what's the aim of the whole, obviously the swim is to raise awareness, but your whole project, what's the aim? Because at the same time, I agree with you that of course it's polluting the waterways and all those things, but I feel like people kind of need the secondhand clothes,
right?
So what's the aim? Are you trying to stop it, or are you trying to make it more sustainable? What are you guys trying to do with it?
Right, yeah. I think what you're getting at is the fact that there's a legitimate trade. People buy because they need and want, and that's totally fair. It's not to be let's stop this tomorrow because there's a trade. People are in it. People are in the business. People are making money, maybe not enough as they should be, but they're making money. People are buying and wearing. The problem, I think, is the scale. We're getting literally millions of items of clothing, way more than the average person probably could even afford to buy. And so that's why so much of it is going to waste. And then also some of it is arriving and is in poor condition and can't be upcycled and recycled, so becomes waste. So I would say there's multiple audiences for this expedition and this project. And one of the main audiences is actually people in the global north, people who are overproducing and basically generating the waste, right? So what we're trying to say is like, A, there needs to be transparency about what's happening, and also transparency about how much is getting produced, with a view to reducing the overproduction, and just reducing the amounts that come in, so that we're not basically accepting waste or creating more waste. And then also we're doing like, I always like to talk about like the science component, like collecting water samples, so that when we're asking for policy change, it's backed on research and data that we've done, and not just being like, please don't do this to us. You know what I mean? It's like, here, this is what's happening, so don't do that. And then I think in terms of the Ghanaian audience, you know, we're not necessarily causing the problem. We're like dealing with it. And so it's just to say like, you know, we're not causing the problem, but everyone should think about their consumption practices. Like, how much are we buying? Why are we buying? Like, what do we value about our clothes? And like, what's the position that Ghana and Ghanaians have in the world? And is that position a position that we actually want to have? Or are we just like having to be in that position? So yeah, and then also, sorry. No, it's good. And then also for me, there's just a component of like, our country is awesome. Like, there's so many beautiful, incredible places. And like, I think that there can be sometimes this like over focus on certain urban centers, especially Accra. And like, I think for Accra people, sometimes we can think of ourselves as the center of Ghana. And it's like, actually, there's so many other places that are really cool.
That's true. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I'm talking about the whole getting data and research. I saw like a video of you on Instagram with your cute little foot patch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with the cotton and like you swim for a while, put it in the water. I just wanted to understand like, what's the scientific, just water science for aquatic science for dummies. Just like real quick, what was the whole thought process, and why were you doing what you were doing, keeping that on your foot during the swim?
Sure. So I mean, the main sampling that we did was collecting water samples from different parts of the river that we process through a filter, so that we can like trap the presumably microfibers or microplastics as well, and then be able to count them and say, okay, in this part of the river, there is the presence of microfibers, or hopefully there isn't. Like, that's also fine. That's actually great. It would be cool to find that. So that's the main thing. But then also it's like, okay, this is a very unique situation where I'm in the water for hours. And like, what is happening to me? And like, I'm just like, whatever, this is really fun. But also there's stuff in the water. So it's basically the passive sampler that you're talking about, the one that like is attached to my leg, is kind of like a second skin. So it's like, okay, whatever my skin is exposed to, that sampler is exposed to as well. So I can't say yet what's happened, because it has to be processed in actually quite a fancy lab. But yeah, it'll tell us information about like, okay, what's happening over time.
Right.
Do you have any idea yet, like any hunch?
I mean, our hypothesis is that in the more rural northern parts of the country, there's going to be less microfibers because there's just fewer people living on the river. There's like less consumption of clothing, like less money. And then as you go further south and it becomes more urban, there'll be a higher presence of microfibers because there's more people. And there's more people washing clothes or using fishing nets or whatever.
And how many locations did you like? Not how many samples, how many locations do you know?
You know, one thing that's been really strange is the whole experience feels so unreal for me.
Right.
Because it was so intense, but now it exists only kind of as memory.
Right.
And I just say that to say that sometimes people ask me questions and I'm just like, huh. And it's like I can't remember certain because it's just so intense. And a bunch of my friends have babies. And so I've like spent a lot of time talking about pregnancy and having a child. And I was like, you know, this experience feels like, especially with the training, like I did 7 months of training and then basically 2 months of the
How many months of training?
7 months.
7, wow.
Yeah, it was a long time. And so it's like, oh, I had this pregnancy, then I gave birth, you know, the expedition. but there's no baby at the end. And so there's nothing to make it feel super concrete.
Right.
It's just
The baby will take more than 9 months. The baby is the results of your findings. That's what it is.
Right,
Yeah, so
exactly.
we're waiting for the
exactly.
baby.
So
There
you're
you go.
still- so you're
That's
still
true. Yeah.
pregnant?
Yeah. Oh, okay. like, no, please. No. Yeah. So right now I'm just like, did it happen? I mean,
Right,
luckily
I
we
get
have
what you
so
mean.
much footage.
Yeah.
So I can literally go and look at the footage and be like, okay, yes,
This
on
actually
this day
happened.
I was there. And like, you know, I remember being tired. So like, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, in answer to your question, how many places did we visit? Quite a few. I mean, almost every night we would anchor to land.
Right.
And so we passed a bunch of different communities and towns. I think it was hard for me to think of the names because it's like, it's not names we're saying all the time.
Yeah.
But we went past the main places. Like we started in Buipe, we went past Yeji, Pando, Ketekrachi, some of those main ports.
Yeah.
But would also stop in different communities on the way.
How about language barrier? Can you speak Ewe?
No, I can't. But actually, it was interesting. On the crew, we had a bunch of different languages. And Afoya Magavi, who was on the expedition as the photographer and videographer and documentarian, I guess, he speaks a lot of languages, but also he was commenting on how many people speak Adan all the way up the river, like basically up into the north, and just how interesting that was in terms of understanding like migration. And he's from Adan, so he was like, wow, my concept of home and my people is expanded because it's like he used to situate it in this place, but it's like, oh no, your people are all over
That's
the
so
river.
interesting.
Yeah, it is
so
really interesting. Yeah, so like almost every day I think he was able to speak to someone in Adan. I was like, wow. Yeah.
So if you have a question for you, how did you find out about her swimming thing?
Yeah.
One of my friends posted a video of her, the whole water thing. And you know, like I love like swimming as well. Actually, that's why I was asking you how long. Like, yeah, I love swimming as well. So I was like, this is interesting. So I clicked on it and then I saw the page and then I saw that she's Edwin was on her team. So I know Edwin and that's how I was able to reach out to her. So it's just like sort of like a rabbit hole, just like looking through, and I'm just like, I don't really understand it fully, but it's cool.
Yeah. I just, even myself, it's like, swimming is it's so random to me. Even to me, I'm just like, yeah, I've sort of swimming for a long time. I mean, now that it's completed and there's so much footage, it's easier to talk to people about it. But you can't even imagine at the beginning, before it happened, I'm like trying to talk to people and I just sound crazy. I just sound so crazy. And people are like, what? Including my family. They're just like, why do you do such weird things? Just be normal.
What was the training like?
That's the worst. The training is the worst. The training is so tedious. I mean, I'm a curious person, and for me, the training was so interesting because it's like you're learning different things about your own body and you're learning your process. And I had a coach at the beginning, but I was training myself a lot. So it was just really interesting for me to have that relationship to myself and develop different practices and learn about my body, learn where I'm strong, learn where I'm weak. Like that was fascinating, and to be in the different space. But like the actual nitty gritty of it, like I spent way more time training than I did on the expedition. I mean, I trained for 7 months.
So was it like training with respect to like swimming, doing laps, or it was both on land and outside doing like cardio, stuff like that? Right,
I did mostly swimming, and I've always swum since I was literally like 4 years old, but I've never really done long distance swimming. And like I remember very well my first training session, and it was just by myself, and I was like, okay, let me see how long I can swim without stopping. And it was like 30 minutes and I was so exhausted. It took me like 2 days to recover because swimming is so intense.
It's your whole
and like,
body.
And like a lot of people swim actually just for a couple of minutes. Like, you know, when you go in the pool to chill, you're like maybe
just swaddling and just vibe.
So swimming continuously is a different thing. And so a lot of my training was just like slowly building it up gradually. So I started with 30 minutes and then I would train in like 15-minute intervals. So it was like, I'll do 30 minutes 4 times a week, for 2 weeks, and then I'll do 45 minutes 4 times a week for another 3 weeks, and then until I could do like 2 hours or 2.5 hours. Yeah, but then at the end, you just get freaking bored because you can't do anything. You can't listen to music. You can't blah blah.
Like you're just here.
Yeah, you're just there with your thoughts, and you're paid. And so after, you know, I started swimming, and then I would I got to a point where I wasn't timing myself anymore. I was just counting the lengths. And so I would do like let me see. So I do like 3K is 30 hundreds. So I do like 60 lengths of the Olympic pool. Yeah, and then I would just stop. But then towards the end, I was just getting so bored that I couldn't bring myself to swim for more than an hour. And I'd just be like, whatever, like I've done it.
Yeah.
So I was doing mostly swimming, but I would do a bit of weight training in the gym as well. So if anyone who swims, for women especially, it's really important to do weight-bearing exercise because our bones are less dense. Or there's something about bone density that you have to actually hold weights. Yeah, so I would do that. And then after a while too, I got like an injury in my shoulder right before. So I stopped swimming for a bit and was running a lot. It's mostly cardio and mental will.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And sorry, Zoo. This is the swimming part. Zoo can swim. Zoo, can you swim?
No, not yet.
Oh, you should try. It's really worth it. Yeah.
By the end of the year, I should. If I haven't learned how to swim by the end of the year, I don't know. I have to give myself like an ultimatum.
You guys,
what's the ultimatum? What's gonna happen?
Yes, what's happening?
Yeah,
I don't know what you suggest. I don't know.
I mean, I just think it's just worth it. It's just it's so great, and also my main thing with swimming is just my main and number one lesson is that you just need to get to a place where you feel calm.
Yeah.
Because when you know how to swim, most of us are not actually doing like the formal stroke. You need to know a stroke if you're racing or if you need to do a long distance. Yeah. But most of the time, it's just a little, like really small movements and just understanding yourself in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, I actually feel comfortable. Like if I go to a pool and I'm just like standing in the water, I'm very like it's nice. Like I'm happy where I am. So yeah, I mean, when I was young, I was actually doing like swimming classes, and then I stopped. But then in my mind, I'm like, I know how to swim. So from like age 7, I was like, I can swim. But
you can swim.
I didn't swim for years. Yeah. After that, so maybe like 10 years.
Yeah, I know this story.
I told you the story. Yeah. So like 17, 18 ish.
Yeah.
I'm like, so the whole time thinking I can swim.
Yeah.
Because I also saw like somewhere that you never forget how to swim.
No.
It's like riding a bike. So, so for 10 years plus of my life, I'm like, oh yeah, I can swim. So one day my friends are like, oh yeah, let's go swimming. I'm like, yeah, let's go. It's been a while, let's go. So we go to the pool, like the pool at the University of Ghana. Yeah. It's like, I guess it's Olympic size, right? Yeah. And it has a deep end. The deep end is deep.
It's really deep.
Maybe like 10 feet maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
It's deep.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool. All of them go and boom into the deep end. Like 4 of them. I'm like, simple. I know how to swim. So I go after them. And I go in, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, what do I do now?
What do I do now?
Yeah,
I'm just going down. So I don't know what I did. I just managed to like doggy paddle. Yeah. Find my way up.
Yeah. At least you didn't panic.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's the thing. I've always known, like, if you panic, you die.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, even if I die, I don't want to die panicked.
Yeah.
I just managed to like go up, and then the lifeguard was screaming at me, and
oh bless. He was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. So I tried to swim.
Yeah, so I just went to the kiddie pool and I was just chilling in there.
Bless.
So I'm trying to learn this year.
You have to learn again.
I'll learn soon. Yeah.
So what I was about to ask you was, spending so much time in the water, when you finally come back on land, since you guys were like in a ship, like, and you're like in your bed sleeping, could you still feel like the motions of the water?
Yeah. not this time. Yeah. But like, so for various reasons, we had a few longer breaks in the swim. So after 3 weeks, we were on land for a little bit because basically we had to move the boat over Akosombo Dam and then also over Akuse Dam to the bottom, and that took a little bit of time. Actually, and then before that, there was another time where the boat got a leak and had to be repaired. Wow. Yeah. So we were on land for like 3 or 4 days. And yeah, between being on the boat, which was also constantly moving, and in the river, and in the lake, there's all these different forces working on you. I
Yeah.
definitely had that thing where I'm just
Yeah.
like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like less than in the ocean, but definitely I felt it. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite
So
funny.
sorry, when you start swimming, you'll be able to relate. Don't worry.
No, but
Yeah.
I know. No, but
Yeah.
I can relate though. Like, you have that feeling like you're kind of like moving in the water even after you're out of the
Yeah,
water.
exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna ask as well. The last time I went to Akosombo, I went to one of those like wooden canoes, and the guy was telling me that he's a swim teacher. You know, another person trying to get me to swim. And I was asking him like, do a lot of people swim? This is maybe a year ago. Do a lot of people swim in the Volta Lake? He's like, yeah, but a lot of people underestimate like, because it looks so calm. But he was like, there's a lot of currents that you don't see from the top.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes people try and swim, and then the next thing you know, they're like
Going
somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, like, was it challenging for you?
So this whole question of the currents is kind of a sore spot for me. So first of all, so there's the Volta River is made up of different parts, right? So like it's fed by the white Volta, the red Volta, and the black Volta. And I started swimming with from the black Volta to where the black and white meet. And then it becomes the Volta River, and then it's the Volta Lake, and then it goes back to being the Volta River. And each of those different parts has a different feel and different currents and whatever. So most of us, I guess from Accra, are used to the southern part of the river where there is actual a current. Like if you get in, like there's certain parts where like next thing you're gone. But there's also a lot of parts where it's super still. And actually for me as a swimmer, it was so depressing because I thought that the whole swim would be like around Akosombo where I'm like, if I didn't swim, I would still be moving, you know? And I was like, I'm chilling. And that's kind of how I started the whole swim. I was like, oh, I mean, I'm going to have to make an effort, but, you know, I'm basically going to, like, just float down. No problem. And then actually, especially on the Volta Lake, because it's basically like a big bath, right? It's like the water doesn't really flow because it's blocked by the dam. It becomes still. And then there's actually wind coming from the south that pushes up. So you get a bunch of waves pushing you back northwards. And so if there's any current, it's on the surface and it's pushing you back. So for me, the first few days, I was like, okay, I got this. And then there was a chunk of time in the middle where I was just so demoralized because I was putting in like double the amount of effort to move even less than I would in the pool. And so there's like, you basically just have to be aware of what each place is like. And I think, that's the thing. Like that's, people don't know and they just assume, but there's all different things going on. I also think with the swimming thing and people, I think a lot of the fear around swimming in the Volta River, again, stems from people don't know. People are maybe not strong swimmers, or maybe they like, I think a lot of it is people just are not strong swimmers. And you have to make sensible decisions. So even me, I'm super strong at swimming, but like I won't be swimming anywhere. You know, and like I know that okay, if I'm swimming for fun, I actually normally first swim up against the current and then the current will bring me back to where I started. Rather than, oh, I'm tired and I have to come back. And I don't know, in my mind, I'm like, a lot of the party goers that go to Akosombo are like probably a little drunk. You know, and like that, of course that's not a safe way to swim.
So
I want to ask about something with respect to what's aside the currents. Where I think the reason why I'm never comfortable.
Your next question is
So then, just answer. Let's see if it's actually the question.
Like creatures.
They're creepy crawlies.
I hear people always ask me
because that's why I don't swim. Like I'm so scared to swim in the river. Like I'm afraid that like something.
You won't. I didn't see anything in my whole expedition. I didn't see anything in the water.
Like nothing touched your foot.
I mean, sometimes actually at the bottom there's a lot more like weeds and grasses.
That's it.
I mean, and I won't lie, there were times where I was like, this is scary looking. Because it's just like all these tentacles. But like it was a bit scary, but I was like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. I didn't see any fish. I guess they swim away from you.
Yeah, obviously they
You
will.
know?
Yeah.
And like the crocodiles and hippos are nowhere near where we swam. And the last few days, I had my eyes open to try and see a manatee. I was like, I swam all this way. I want to see a manatee.
Yeah.
And I saw nothing. Like nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was kind of almost disappointing. I was like, right.
So did you have to wear like swimming shoes, like to just like be safe, make sure like nothing, or you were just like going in 100% you?
Just my swimming costume and swimming cap.
Okay.
And the swimming cap was just the sun is quite strong, and especially because I have a shaved head, it's like if the sun comes directly on my head, it can easily dehydrate actually. And just to like protect from the sun. But otherwise, I was just going.
Did you have goggles
like that? Yeah, I had goggles,
okay.
which was interesting because I normally don't swim with goggles, especially in the river. I'm very like,
especially in the river,
right?
Yeah,
Especially in the pool.
Yeah. Oh no. Because
Wow.
I'm such a like a creature of the river, of the water. You know, free.
Yeah.
But like I swam with goggles because it was like so much time in the water and like because you know our eyes are a bit saline, so like the water is not salty, so it's like it's so I had to get used to swimming with goggles.
So for me, I feel like I saw it on Twitter like around the time you started, but I didn't really, it's like I didn't understand what was going on, and I was like, okay, that's nice. Someone's
Another
swimming.
time,
Someone's swimming, that's nice.
Yeah.
But then I noticed it even more when like an update came that One Love and Sister Deborah had joined you, and they were swimming with you, and I don't know how long they swam, but they said
he did 3K and she did 1K, I think.
Which is insane because running for 3K is not a joke.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? And that's when I started, looking into it more.
Yeah. Sorry, but I was actually really impressed by One Love and like the other people who swam 3K, because to me, I'm just like, 3K. But like I was like, for like the average person, that's far.
Yeah.
That's really far. Like 3 kilometers in the pool takes an hour.
Yeah.
And like you can't really stop. So I was like, I was really impressed by people. And then there was like you could swim 3K, 2K, or 1K. I was impressed by everyone who swam any amount. And that was one of the real highlights of the expedition for me, to just really like genuinely share it with other people.
Yeah.
Because like obviously this expedition stems from my journey, but I really have trouble being the center of attention. I'm like, I just want to do I just want to do this thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't want to be this icon. And so it's like, it was really nice to open up the experience to other people, and make it safe for them, because I think people are afraid. And it was like, we had boats, we had kayaks, we had lifeguards.
Nice.
So it was like a very unique opportunity for people to be in the water and feel it and challenge themselves and learn more about the expedition. Yeah, that was really dear to me.
So if you were doing 1K, 2K, 3K, how many Ks were you doing a day?
It depended the different parts of the river. I mean, there were some days where I did like 4 kilometers because it was just so hard to move forward. One thing about that was that like I would just be like in the water swimming for 2 hours, barely moving, because these huge waves are coming over me. And I'd be like, to Foy, like, did you guys get that on camera? Like, I need the people to know how much I'm suffering.
Yeah.
You know, and then you look on the camera and it never looks that bad.
Yeah.
You look in person, you're fighting for your life. And then on the camera, it's just like
some small wave.
It's like, oh man, you guys were not there.
Yeah.
I was like, we have to add a soundtrack or something to let them know.
Yeah.
But then like, for example, this end part of the expedition, I was swimming like 15 kilometers a day. Which, I mean, even I was like, this is a lot of swimming.
Yeah.
This is a lot of
How
swimming.
long did that take you? 15 kilometers?
Because of the different currents, it took me different times.
Yeah.
So like
Makes sense.
there were certain parts of the river where I would swim 2 hours or so in the morning, and then like an hour and a bit in the afternoon, and I got my 15K. But the last day, when I thought it would be the easiest, it took me 2 hours of swimming in the morning and then almost 4 hours of continuous swimming in the afternoon. And I just was like, I mean, I wanted to cry, but it just, because of the goggles, my eyes were just like open like this. So I actually couldn't cry. And I was just too tired.
Yeah.
I really wanted to cry, but I was just too tired. And I was like, if you stop and cry right now, you're just delaying us finishing.
Yeah.
So like, can you just continue?
Yeah.
I was like, damn, okay. Like, but there was nothing glamorous about it. I was just like, moving forward. Yeah. And then I there was such a specific point where like I tasted the salt water. I said, thank you, Jesus. I was like, I'm there. Oh man, yeah. And then we had this whole welcome by the chiefs,
wow.
Adoba. Yeah, it was actually really sweet. But I'm not gonna lie, in the moment I was just like, no one talk to me. I don't want to, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
But it was very sweet of them. Yeah. I was surprised actually. I was like, oh, people care about this thing. That's really great.
Yeah, people do care. So can you share like some of the people that have been, not like name drop, like what was the support like funding wise?
You can
like
name drop if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people might want their flowers. So
what has the support been like, and what has obviously is the word apprehension? Is it apprehension? What does apprehension mean?
Like you're apprehensive.
Against, right? Oh no,
apprehensive is like you're unsure.
So I want like both positive and negative. Whether some people like, as you say, like this is crazy, don't do it. Like this doesn't make sense. Like I want to know like what the whole thing is like.
First off, my mom is hilarious because now there's like she's like, now that I got a BBC interview and TV3, she's like, oh my God, look at my daughter, blah, 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 blah.
African parents.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, the same lady that 9 months ago was like, why can't you just go and do your master's? And I'm like, the same lady. I said, okay, I see. Anyway, she's like the funniest person. She's like the most supportive, critical person. She'll be like, I don't want you to do this, but if you're going to do it, then okay, cool, good for you.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. But like in terms of the actual expedition, it was all supported by the OR Foundation because essentially it's like a research project for them, and like it's helping us reach global audiences and local audiences about the work that's being done. Like, so I always try and bring it back to the textile pollution and be like, hey, this is why we're doing it. So that's been fantastic. And then obviously the people on the boat, part of the crew, Edwin was on the boat for a while. Edwin works for the OR. Ofoe has been awesome. And I think, like, you see it in some of the videos, but I'm rarely in the water by myself. There's usually someone who's in a kayak accompanying me the whole way. Because if the boat's like, it's a long story, but the boat can't always be near me. So there's like that person in the kayak is carrying my water, my snacks, refreshments to make sure I don't dehydrate, I have enough energy. And also, like, especially certain parts of the lake where the water is rough, you know, like, in case anything happens, I need to be able to get to the kayak really quickly. So, like, that's why it's there. So, Foy did a lot of kayaking. Edwin did a lot of kayaking, like, you know, behind-the-scenes heroes. My friend Isabel was on the expedition doing the science, just making life easier. JJ, the captain from Braveheart's expeditions, he, like, captained the whole boat. And, like, I mean, the thing that was so great was that, like, he's the captain, but also humble enough to help prepare the meals. And for me, like, I don't even cook in my own home. I'm, like, so lazy. I will eat plantain chips all day instead of, like, preparing food. Yeah, that was actually the nutrition was the hardest part of the training for me because I just, like, don't eat food. And so it was, like, I would get exhausted. Anyway. So, like, JJ is awesome because he'd, like, prepare the food and, like, captain. So there's, like, always an ecosystem around these kinds of projects. Yes, I think it's actually mostly been, like, positive and supportive. I mean, for any expedition and workplace, it's, like, you're having to navigate a lot of different dynamics and people. And some people you're friends with before, some people you don't know. And, like, you're having to be with each other in an intense workspace. So of course it's like intense, but you know, I've come out of the expedition, like, I have a lot of respect for everyone who was on the boat, etc. So yeah, but definitely at the end, like, I live alone, and so, like, by the end I was like, I need to not see anyone. Especially, no offense you people, for a while. Like, let me just go to my home, close the door. I'm done.
So can you tell me more about the boats? Because I hear it was a, like, aluminium type boats? Like, did you guys build it yourself or?
Yeah. So in my mind, when I was originally thinking of the expedition, I was like, we'll just rent a canoe, or build a canoe, which I thought would be really cool too. But because the All Foundation is doing research beyond this expedition and was doing it before, they made the decision that they wanted to build a custom research vessel that could be used for expeditions later. Okay. So it's I think it is aluminium actually. I'm like, what was it made of? But the thing that was really cool is that it's fully solar powered. We actually there is a gas powered generator on board. We couldn't get it to work. And so it was like there was no fossil fuels. Even if we tried, there was no fossil fuels. It was like fully solar power, which was interesting because it meant that like at night, that's it. Yeah. You know, like when the sun goes down, okay, I guess it's time to sleep because like, so we don't frantically charge everything before sunset. And it was really super interesting to be on the boat and just like live that kind of life. And I think I'm getting over it now, but like whenever I was back in Accra, I'd be like, I would just wake up at 6 and then like start getting tired at 8. And like I'd be in bed by 9 and like, you know, asleep like a granny. But yeah, that's like expedition boat life. Yeah.
So right now, I think it's fair to say that, I mean, I don't know, but you're probably like a record holder or something like that. Like you have some type of record somewhere. Yeah. You know.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting about that. Because people like, funnily enough, I don't have Instagram on my phone and my Twitter's private and I, you know, try, of course, not to be on social media that much. So there's a lot of stuff I haven't seen. But I was on my friend's phone looking at the posts and I was like, damn, first of all, a lot of people like this. And there's like, a bunch of comments, a bunch of people tagging Guinness World Records. And I was like, oh no. Because to set a record is actually a very complicated process. And there's a ton of rules around it.
Yeah.
And I kind of was like, that's not the point for me. For me, from the beginning, the point was not to, I mean, it was to prove something in that, like, sometimes we think something's impossible, but it's just because, like, that's coming from a fear place. Yeah. And if we exit that fear or move through that fear, we can realize how many things actually are possible, especially with support, especially with a team, especially if you take your time. So for me, that was the main thing that I wanted to experience and put across. But yeah, the whole thing of like, I want to prove something, or like the competition thinking was not something I was interested in because like that's stressful. And like, I don't want stress. I want to be able to some days go really slow and like some days do a lot and swim 15 kilometers and other days swim 3 kilometers. Yeah. You know, I want to be able to like take a long break if I want to. Like so much of the experience for me was that I wanted to experience joy. Yeah. And I remember at the end of the first week, I was freaking exhausted. I just was like, I didn't cry as much as I was expecting to, but there was one day where I was just like hiding and crying. I'm like, I'm so tired. Why am I doing this? You know, and I just was like, okay, why am I doing this again? And I was like, okay, I want to share this experience. Blah, blah. And I was like, I want to be able to experience joy in each day. And I mean, there was so much joy to experience, like the way that the light hits the water and like the environment and like the way the sky is just magnificent. And like we went, especially at the northern parts, like we would swim through these underwater forests that were sunk when the dam was created. And like one day I just like swam over and I like climbed it and I was like, you know, take a picture of me, Edwin. You know, and so it's like I wanted to be able to like have a journey and not be like, I need to race to the finish so that nobody can beat my record, you know? It's like, no. Yeah.
How long did the whole swim part take?
So if not including the times when we were like off the boat, I think it was 40 days. Yeah, it was 40 days. Wow. Yeah, it was quite intense.
That's a lot, That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it was quite, like, it was just funny because like I if not for, again, witnesses and the footage, I would be like, did that really happen? And it's funny because it's like there's different witnesses at different points. Like it was the funniest was swimming in Akosombo because suddenly there's people there. And it's like there's all these resorts and private houses, like fishing communities. And so they're there and they're like cheering. And I'm like, what are they doing? Like, what's that sound?
Literally waiting for you.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, hi guys. Yeah, so that was like really cute and whatever. But in most of the time, for like 3/4 of the expedition, we were in the middle of what felt like nowhere. And there'd be like, you know, I mean, there's still commerce, of course, and trade that happens. So there'd be like a canoe with like 20 people who would just go past and they just look puzzled. Like, what is that? What is, you know, but like they would pass and like that would be it. You know, and or like we would go to these communities that lived on islands and they'd be like, what are you people doing? And they'd be like, okay. So there's like points of witness, but like it wasn't like we had a live feed from, you know, start to finish. And yeah, just very weird.
But were there any communities that you went and they're like, no, you can't swim here? Like maybe this river is like for a god. Like, no, you have to wait till this time. Were there some rules in some communities?
No, actually.
Okay.
No, actually. Sometimes people were concerned about the research vessel because it's like, it's green and orange. And so it looks kind of like the Navy. I mean, I haven't seen a Navy bird recently, actually. I think actually maybe Navy was white. Anyway, maybe it looked like Army or something.
Just looked like something government related.
Exactly, exactly. And so there were some communities that were a bit apprehensive about it.
Yay, the word.
Because a few years ago, there was a big sweep of the fishing communities against child trafficking on the Volta River. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah.
And so the Navy came in and like grabbed a bunch of children, like literally thousands of children, took them to centers until their parents and families could come and claim them. And there's a logic behind it. I don't know if I'm like confident to speak about it, whether it was right or wrong, but anyway, the community is really scarred by that. So there were many times where they were like,
oh no,
explain your purpose. And then we would say, okay, we're doing research, we're part of this organization, and be like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
You know, and then we could have a conversation about the research and the boat, but like otherwise it was fine. And then on the point of like the spirituality and the traditions, I think because I didn't grow up in Ghana and grow up in those communities, for better and worse, I don't have that cultural or spiritual expectations. And so I could go in with curiosity and openness and like without fear. Because I think a lot of people, and maybe people who don't even understand the spirituality attached to the river would be like, oh, I don't want to mess with that. Meanwhile, actually, you know, depending on the relationship you have with the river or your gods, it could actually be, for me, it was like the swim was an act of, in a way, pilgrimage, maybe you could say. For me, it was like, I'm dedicating this to whatever god or gods of the river. Like, I'm in service. Like, I'm giving myself.
Yes, from a good place.
Yeah. And so for me, like, I think that's also why I didn't have fear. I was like, this river knows my intentions are pure. Like, I'm not coming to do anything. So I felt confident because of that too.
Sounds really good. Yeah,
you kind of spoke about competing already and the pressure it brings, but right now you are officially a really, really good swimmer.
That I will agree. I'm like, that I'm like.
So like, has it ever crossed your mind, like you want to do a race or like you want to test your limits?
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with me is that if somebody suggests an idea, I'm like, it's hard for me not to act on it. I'm like, and my sense of what is not possible is very, I don't know whether it's high or low. Most things feel possible to me. I'm like, I could probably do that. So one of my older friends who came to the Solidarity Swim was like, well, you know, an Olympic triathlon is only this amount of swimming and this amount of running. And I was like, doesn't sound that much. And so I was like, okay, I could do it. I mean, like, in terms of can I do it, literally, oh yeah, I can literally physically do it. But then the one competitive side of me is that, like, if I do it, I want to win. You know, exactly. So I don't want to go and just participate. I want to have a good chance of winning. But then usually that's when the stress comes in, and like, what if I don't win? Then I'm gonna be annoyed. So I like
But I think you should do it though. Just to say you could be like an Olympian. It's a nice thing to say.
It would be. I like just having like a very random, rich life story. So it'd be really funny to be like, and then I went to the Olympics.
Exactly.
That would be so hilarious. And people, I just want people to be like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I know. I just decided to do that. And then like I did it. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's also like, as Zu was saying, even if you do it, whether you win or not, it's more people finding out about you and then what you did and why you did what you did.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
For the bigger good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
do
the
it.
thing about Olympics is even if you go and you're last, you're still an Olympian.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you say nobody knows if you're first or last, like you're still an Olympian. So
and if the story is good, I'm just like, I just want a good story.
It's a really good story as well. Yeah.
She just decided at age 30 that she wants to do the Olympics, and then like that's fun. I just want a cool story.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to your Olympic journey.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
No, we actually are looking forward to it.
There's Olympics.
Oh man, I've been saying this thing a little too much.
The Olympics
In
are
a couple of years, people are gonna be like,
Next
yeah,
year,
exactly.
So we have to start doing our
I'm like,
research.
they're
What
gonna
do
be
you
like,
need to do?
TikTok,
Yes.
You know?
Okay.
What?
Yeah, this is a really beautiful story.
Yeah.
Because of, it's inspired me to go learn how to swim because I also want to, like when you go to Aquasum, when you see, it's like I want to go inside.
Yes, I just don't understand people who can just look at it. I can't.
Right?
I have to get in.
That's why, like, I always go like on the canoe and just like put my hand in the water.
Exactly.
Like you have to
But,
feel
like,
it.
I want to like go inside.
You have
Because
to.
you're from the Volta, dear.
No, that's not why. It just looks really peaceful, really fun.
Yeah, you just want to be like inside.
I just want to experience it. So I'm just telling everybody that by the end of the year, I would have
We have the
I'm
receipts.
gonna check. Yeah, I'm gonna check in.
Don't worry, it'll happen. I'll learn how to swim by the end of the year, and you guys will see me
in the Volta
doing 452 kilometers.
No, but that's actually
this bitch.
Wild.
Yeah,
that's a long year. That's a long.
Yeah, it
way.
was long.
Why didn't you just do 500?
So
No, because like 450 is like a bit off. Like you could have said 500. It's like,
what do you have to say to
I've
this?
heard. I'll do it next time.
I can't even do 1 kilometer.
Can you imagine? I'm like, man.
No, I'm not taking away from your achievement, but I'm just saying,
as a last story, like on the last day, the chiefs said they're gonna come and do a doorbell for me at the end, and I said, okay, cool. And then, like I said, it was taking way longer than I expected.
Yeah.
I expected to swim 2 hours in the morning and maybe an hour and a half in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So 2.5 hours into my afternoon swim, I'm so tired, and we get a call that the chiefs are getting tired of waiting. Fair enough. They've been waiting for a long time. And I'm not going to lie, I was just kind of like, they can go. Like,
that's annoying.
I was like, I cannot swim faster than I was like, I can barely move.
Yeah.
This is as fast as we're going to be able to go.
Yeah.
And so, I was just like, nobody can tell me anything.
Yeah.
Like, I all I can do is move my right arm, move my left arm. That's all I can do right now. Yeah, it's very intense.
So did you go for the day by day?
So I'm curious. It was very sweet. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So anyway.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What's the future looking like? When is the next swim?
I gotta finish my Olympic training now.
Yes,
I did too much promising.
That's the next step.
But it's just funny because like my everyday life, I'm co-founder of the Via Farm dried fruit brand, and so I'm just like back to work. Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, so
I've been eating their fruits.
Dried mango, pineapple.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, so it's funny because it's like, I saw like how many people were liking and commenting online. I was like, oh, this is really nice. But I'm like at home on my computer doing our finances. You know? It's just like, for me, it's like I'm back to normal. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
And what do you hope to achieve, I guess, at the end of the day with this whole 450K, with the awareness you've created? Like, what's the end goal for you, ideally?
I mean, in terms of my personal goals, I just really want to truly have inspired and encouraged more people to go and swim in general. Like, it sounds so corny, but it's like, that's what I want. I want people to experience that joy and experience like the joy of like the beauty of our country. And then from the like professional side, I think I'm very excited about like having contributed to the research. And, ultimately we're trying to like, it's like #stop waste colonialism, and like reduce the volumes of clothing coming in. Like if we can see that happen, that would be great.
Yeah. I signed your petition, by the way. Like,
Thanks.
yeah, someone came up to
You are
me.
so great. You did the research. You signed the petition.
No, but that was like someone came up to me. I was like, "Hey, can you sign this petition?"
But you still said yes. You could
I
have said
signed
no.
it,
So congratulations.
Yeah.
I mean, like when I heard Waze, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
When I heard Colonialism, I was like, oh please.
Yeah.
I'm there.
How many
Yeah,
times can I sign?
yeah, exactly.
Can I sign a zoo and the Ghanaian vegan?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Are you the Ghanaian vegan?
Yes, he
Yeah,
is.
that's
Oh my gosh!
Yes, in the flesh.
Wow. That is. Oh wow.
Yeah, next time I'll be swimming with you. So
Yeah, that's cool.
swimming.
You can be in
vegan.
charge of the nutrition then. That's exciting.
Yeah,
Are you vegan?
Not really. I mean, I don't eat meat, but like I'll eat chicken.
Yeah.
But I'm not like
Big on like meat.
I'm just like not strict about it. Like I
Yeah.
don't eat any red meat, but like
Yeah.
I'll eat chicken and sometimes fish. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, zoo baby. And if you're looking for like a brand, I'm always putting you on. You need to be doing this. If you're looking for like a brand influencer for your farm, like he's
Yes,
perfect.
actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have a conversation.
Yeah, look
I
at me
know you are.
putting
What's it
zoo
called
on.
again?
Evaya Farm.
Farms.
YVAYA.
They have like these dried fruits, pineapple, mango.
Oh yeah. I've
Yeah.
seen that.
Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite is the mango, and then sometimes when mango is out of season, like I'm so upset. They're like, "Oh no, you can't get the mango. You can get the tropical," and I'm just like,
it's like
guys.
so stressful.
Yeah, I see it like at different like shop. I've seen at Palm Moments.
Yeah.
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 Okay, nice.
the brown packaging.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for everything you've done. You've inspired me. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've inspired a few as well.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to enter the water now, like with confidence, because she
Yeah.
said there's nothing in the water. There's no
Nothing.
creepy crawlies.
Yeah, nobody will hold your leg.
Nobody
like
will hold my leg.
So yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah,
when
there's
I-
nothing
when
in
I
the
learn
water.
How to swim, I'll join you. So
Yeah, we should. And if there's like a phase 2 for, like,
Yeah.
how research is, they would be like, oh, we need more samples.
Yeah.
We'll be there to support you.
I'll
We'll
do
ride
my
in the water
50
with you.
meters.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
Yeah.
I'll do 3K. 3K.
Yeah, that
with you.
would
That'll be fun.
That'll be fun. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much.
joining
Yeah,
us.
thank you for joining us.
Sure.
Yeah. And thank you guys for listening to Stay by Plan.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're looking forward to Yvette's Olympic run. See you
We'll be
guys.
there.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Yeah, next 2 weeks. Bye.
This episode of Stay by Plan was hosted by Afi and Zoo. Production was done by Afi, Zoo, Senna, and Nikita. Sound and video was edited and produced by Zoo. Sound design by Senna. Video and photos by Nams. Additional videos by Ellis. Motion graphics by Eugene. And the intro song was by Lil Kwaw.